Have you ever stopped to think about the invisible currents of energy that are flowing all around us, all the time? I mean, they're powering literally everything, from the smallest bacteria to the biggest blue whales. Today, we're going to dive into that fundamental exchange, the one that makes all life on Earth even possible.
Okay, so take a look at this rhino here. It's obviously chowing down on some plants, but what is it really getting out of that meal? What's fueling that massive body? It's not just the leaves and stems, it's what's stored inside them.
And the answer, of course, is energy. Pure and simple. And for almost every living thing on this planet, that energy can be traced back to just one place, our sun. But how in the world does sunlight get packed into a plant and then end up inside a rhino? Well, that's the amazing story we're going to unpack right now.
And it all kicks off with our first big process, photosynthesis. I want you to think of this as nature's incredible invention for capturing and literally storing sunshine.
So what is it exactly? Well, photosynthesis is this amazing transformation where organisms like plants take light energy, sunlight, and convert it into chemical energy. They are, for all intents and purposes, bottling sunshine to use later.
And the organisms that pull off this magic trick, we call them producers. We're talking plants, algae, even some bacteria. They don't need to go out and eat anything because they make their own food. And that simple fact places them at the very foundation of pretty much every food chain on the planet, providing the energy for guys like our rhino.
Let's break it down, because it's actually pretty straightforward. To make photosynthesis happen, a plant just needs three things. You've got sunlight for the power, carbon dioxide from the air, and water from the ground. Inside the plant cells, this green stuff called chlorophyll grabs that sunlight and boom, out the other side comes glucose. That's a sugar, basically stored chemical energy, and as a super useful byproduct for us, oxygen. And here you can see the actual recipe. You take 6 molecules of carbon dioxide plus 6 molecules of water, add a little sunlight, and you get 1 molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. It's wild to think that this simple, elegant formula is responsible for nearly all life as we know it.
Okay, so the energy is stored away. Fantastic. But how do living things, and yeah, that includes the plants themselves, how do they actually use that energy? Well, that brings us to the other side of this coin, respiration. This is the process of unlocking all that stored up power.
And this is a really important point. All living things respire. This isn't just an animal thing. Plants do it, fungi do it, bacteria do it. If it's alive, it has to respire to get the energy it needs to, stay alive. So the official term is cellular respiration. And really what it is the process of taking that glucose that was made earlier and breaking it down to release the energy that's locked inside its chemical bonds. It's kind of like cashing in the energy check that photosynthesis wrote.
And the process is basically photosynthesis in reverse. Glucose and oxygen go in, they get burned inside the cells, and what comes out is usable energy, carbon dioxide, and water. But notice that last little output there, heat. Remember that, because it's going to be super important in a minute.
So here's the recipe for respiration. And you're probably looking at that and thinking, hey, wait a second, that looks almost identical to the other one. And you'd be absolutely right. It's basically the mirror image of photosynthesis.
And that's the whole point. These two processes aren't just separate events happening in nature. They are totally locked together in this beautiful complementary cycle. They really are just two sides of the same biological coin. I mean, just look at this. It's perfect. The outputs of photosynthesis, glucose and oxygen, are the exact inputs needed for respiration. And the outputs of respiration, carbon dioxide and water, are the exact inputs for photosynthesis. It's a perfect loop.
And this diagram shows how it all plays out in an ecosystem. Plants suck in the CO2 that animals breathe out. Animals eat the plants to get the glucose. When things die, decomposers break them down and return the raw materials to the soil. All the matter just gets recycled over and over. But, and this is a big but, there's a catch.
Because while all the stuff, all the atoms and molecules are cycling around perfectly, the energy is not. There is a leak in the system. There's a crucial flaw in what otherwise looks like a perfect cycle. The simple fact is that energy conversion that happens during respiration, it's just not 100% efficient. In fact, no energy conversion ever is. And this isn't just some quirky rule of biology. No, it's a fundamental law of the universe. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that anytime you change energy from one form to another, like from the chemical energy in glucose to the kinetic energy of running, some of that energy is always lost as waste heat. You can think of it as the cost of living. When an organism respires, a huge chunk of that energy just escapes as heat. And unlike the neatly packaged energy in glucose, this heat can't be recaptured or reused. It just radiates away into the environment, and technically, it increases the overall disorder of the universe.
Now this diagram really shows us what's happening. See all those arrows marked with an R? That stands for respiration. And you can see that at every single level, from the plants to the sheep that eats them, energy is leaking out of the system as heat. And that is the key. That's why the whole system needs a constant, fresh supply of energy from the sun every single day. Without it, the whole thing would just grind to a halt.
So life is built on this grand, elegant cycle of storing and then releasing energy. But what we've seen is that this cycle is leaky, it's inefficient, and it is totally, completely dependent on a star that's 93 million miles away. It really makes you stop and wonder, doesn't it? Just how fragile is this incredible system that we all depend on?